I raced my own kart at Michael Schumacher's home track, one of the best tracks in the world. We enjoyed this legendary track, had some great pace and battles, so there is no other option but to launch it around the outside, but unfortunately, also some drama. We're back at Circuit Erflandring Kerpen in Germany. The very same legendary track where Vettel, Ralf Schumacher and Michael Schumacher began their careers. Technical, old school, fast, and honestly one of the most iconic circuits in the world. This weekend it's round 5 of the NXT GP series. And as you guys know, this is a bit more budget friendly compared to what I raced last year. But don't be fooled, the competition is still fierce, with many drivers from larger championships using this race as practice. Big races in karting can cost thousands to be fully competitive, and I simply don't have those thousands. Race hard, score points and keep chasing that dream of one day racing GT cars for a living. But before we can hit the track, we have some work to do. After the last round, our kart suffered some damage. No idea why. Oh yeah, that's why. Luckily, we are back with Team Pit Parts for this round, and using their support and straightening table, we were able to bend the chassis back into an acceptable position. Today is Friday, and that means today it is time for Friday free practice. This day is all about getting the driving and the setup as competitive as possible. If you think back to earlier this year to NXT round 3 at this track, you'll remember that our pace was so good that we were comfortably able to win all 3 races that day. But now we've got more competitive drivers from other championships coming over to race, so we need to work extra hard to make it all work out. Also, another problem dawned on us. In that crash last week, the engine swallowed a lot of sand. This is not good for the engine at all. And the fact that it already went way over the recommended amount of hours means that we have to proceed with caution. Luckily, Team KSD allowed me to borrow one of their engines for practice, so a huge shout out to them. Thank you guys. Normally, our engine builder JVD Power would fix this, but as many of you know, their workshop burned down in a fire at the time of recording, so no engine maintenance for us. So, knowing we were down on power, my focus shifted. If I couldn't rely on horsepower, then the driving and setup had to be absolutely spot on. Because in karting, success comes down to these 3 things. First, you need a great driver. Then you need a great engine. And then of course, you need a great chassis. I'll let you decide how strong our driver is. But we were sure that at least one of the links in that chain was not optimal. That being the engine. So that meant I wanted to put extra focus on the setup. During the first session, we made a quick pit stop to test a different set of rims. In karting, the material and design of your rims can massively change the way the kart handles. And after switching, the difference was immediate. More grip, better balance and way more confidence through the corners. These are the rims we'll be sticking with for the weekend. And that's what Friday practice is all about. Testing, tweaking and squeezing every last bit of performance out of your package before race day. Later that practice day, we got the setup working quite well. The kart had good grip and I was feeling confident with the pace. Sorry for interrupting guys, but I just wanted to let you guys know that we have a new merch line dropping with RE Driver Development Teamwear. This is in addition to the 2 lines we've already got going, and this merch is great as casual wear, work wear, or when you're at the track. Personally, I like to use the shirts under my race suit, and I like to think they make me about half a second a lap faster. All jokes aside, go check out the merch, you'll be supporting my channel. And to get you guys started, if you enter the code RED5 on checkout, you'll get a 5% discount. Anyways, back to the video. After the driving is over, it is time to take some care of your kart. This part of racing is often overlooked on social and mainstream media, but if you are on a smaller budget and have to do things yourself, you often spend more time cleaning and prepping the kart than actually driving it. If you really want to win, there is no compromise. Go give your kart a clean. After that it's done, then you can relax. Which we did, before getting some nice sleep. Right guys, good morning. Day 2. Time to get a bit more serious. Fast engine, better tires, and we've got our mechanic today. So yeah, should be good. Weather looks nice as well. It's already quite hot actually. Got everything here, so let's see how it goes. Right guys, let's get serious. We've got Rob Roest on the spanners for us. We've got our race engine installed. Let's go. I think we got the kart working quite well. We were not completely on the pace yet though, and it looks like our worst fear came true. We are lacking engine power due to the lack of maintenance. We would have to go all out in qualifying. Right guys, so practice sessions are over, and we have to find some tenths because we're just a little bit off the pace, like 2-3 tenths. So yeah, not really sure where we can gain it though. I feel like the driving is pretty much maxed out. Maybe we can do something with the pressures, I don't know. But yeah, we have to find at least something, and yeah, it's difficult. So let's just go into quali and then let's see what happens. So guys, qualifying time. In this event, qualifying decides our starting position for race 1. For race 2 and 3, the previous race will determine your starting position. Then, whoever scores the most points over the 3 10-minute sprint races will ultimately be the big winner of this event. It is important to qualify well, and that starts with the right track position. You want both slipstream, but also to avoid slow traffic. Usually that means sitting behind the leaders, both copying their lines and using the slipstream. We get the track position right, but once we start pushing, an issue popped up. We both got a failure on the brake pump and the fuel pump simultaneously. This made me want to pump myself off a building. Nah, I'm just kidding. It did mean, however, that we were massively off the pace and only qualified in P7. So now we had some repairs to do, but also a lot of work in the races. Well guys, good morning. Day 3, race day. Yeah, quali didn't really go the way we wanted. We fixed the brake issue. We put new gaskets in the car, but I still feel like we're missing a little bit of performance, so I guess it's due for maintenance. So yeah, that's a bit less fortunate. Let's just go into the race, see how we do, and just make the best of it. I think, yeah. Alright guys, race time. Today is the day that really matters. Our grip position is not great and not terrible. We are seriously lacking pace going into this day, so we need to really amp up the aggression and racecraft if we still want any chance at a good result. For once, however, Lady Luck was with us, as the 172 ahead gets a mechanical problem before the race even starts, and we take his position. Then, tire warming. These Maxxis tires are very sensitive to being in the right temperature window, so we make sure to have them there before the race starts. Speaking of race starts, let's get this one going. We roll into the tram lines, the 5 red lights go out now, and away we go. The getaway is decent enough to see us take P4 immediately, but that does mean we are now boxed in. So there is no other option but to launch it around the outside, taking P3 and P2 by surprise. This is an insane big risk, and we even make a little bit of contact with the 193, but somehow we make it work, and we are now in a position of which this kart is definitely not worthy, this far up the field. We slot in behind the 147 from Team KSD, Jorn Jelle Bremer, our former teammate and rival from the T4 series back in 2024, in the World as well as the Dutch Championship. Remember, last year we helped him secure the title as our teammate, but I am not expecting any presence from Bremer now. As of now, we have no pressure from behind, and in fact, if we want to win this race, we have to strike when the tires are still cold, because on cold tires, I knew we were strong. I knew turn 4, also known as rental kart corner, would be the only overtaking spot possible for us. On the straights, we were no match, and in the corners, once the tires are warm, I would say also we are lacking a little bit there. So, we get the best possible run through turn 2. We are now right on his bumper. Turn 3 goes a little bit less smoothly, and that means we are not close enough to go for it. Looking back at the footage now, I really feel like we should have gone for it there. In the race, however, I felt like I already used all of my luck points in that outside start overtake. And in the following laps, we were absolutely no match for Bremer. He was insanely quick and started building up a gap to us. Meanwhile, the kart behind was now the 110 machine driven by the flying German Luca Broers, and he was closing in, fast. But then, code slow. This is karting's version of a virtual safety car. So, the leader will determine the pace, no overtaking, and when the green flags show, back to racing. Unlike the virtual safety car though, the NXT GP goes from code slow straight back to green flag racing, which makes it very important that you pay attention. The code slow goes on for quite a while, and then on the straight, boom, green flags. We are right with Bremer here, but Bruce was unfortunately already up our inside, and immediately he takes P2. Our restart was quite good, but Bruce got an even better one. But he was going to overtake us anyway. His pace was much better than ours at this point, so it is now in our best interest to get to the finish line as fast as possible, without wasting time on useless battles. And then if we get lucky, maybe the leaders would take each other out and we could still win. And that's exactly what we do. We push as hard as we can, setting the best possible lap times our package allows us to set, but then again, just before the end, code slow. This opens the race right back up. Anyone in the top 5 has a realistic shot at winning this race. It fully depends on when the code slow will end. We now go into the last lap and there is still no sign of the code slow coming to an end. Until suddenly, in sector 2, green. Overtaking here is possible if you have the momentum and confidence, but unfortunately both were lacking at this point. We get a good exit here, but don't quite have the engine power to mount an attack on Broers here. That does mean that behind us, the 107 from Team KSD is smelling blood. We just have to keep it together for these last few corners, which we ultimately managed to do, and that is P3 for us. I think this is one of our strongest races this year. It's much more than what we could have achieved on raw pace. Anyways, good points for the weekend, and that means we're also starting P3 in race 2. But wow guys, what a banger to start off the races. So guys, ready to do that all again? With P3 in race 1, the win for this event is still possible. In order to fight for that win, we need to get a good start. So let's do that now. The 5 red lights go out now and away we go. The getaway is good enough to keep P3 for now as we dive into the first corner, taking the same safe defensive lines as Broers in front of us. We might not get the best possible exits by defending like this, but at least it ensures that the 107 from KSD has no way to get past us. Broers gets a bad exit later that lap, and we see a small chance opening up for us into Bravery corner, but no, we can't get the overspeed on him to make a successful move. Meanwhile, Bremer is storming into the distance and looks like his pace has improved even more since last time. This is partly due to the extreme defensive driving from Broers, which cost us a lot of time. We couldn't just let Bremer slip away with the lead again, so I started planning my move. We used the slipstream on the main straight to just barely stay with Broers. He then gets a poor run out of turn 2 and that's all we need to send one up the inside into turn 3. An unorthodox move, but we somehow make it work. More good news. That sees the 107 from Team KSD getting into a battle and taking third. I hope that would give us a little bit of breathing room, but unfortunately on the main straight, a little bit later on, we are no match and he goes for the move, outbrakes us and takes the position. But then on the exit we get collected by Broers, who runs into our rear bumper, which slows us down and gives us some non-critical damage to the rear bumper. All of that chaos now sees Sam Geluk slot in behind us, an experienced X30 driver who has raced all over Europe. It doesn't take long for him to exploit our weak top speed, as both him and Luca Broers now slip through, but no! Fuck. DNF. That means the win for today is now completely off the table. About the incident, I would say it's a racing incident. We immediately talked it out, and apart from some minor bodywork damage, the crash really was not that shocking. Unfortunate, but we now have one more race in this weekend to go, starting at the back. Let's push. Right guys, one more time. You know how it goes. The 5 red lights go out now and we are racing. The getaway is not that great. For some reason the car just didn't want to accelerate. I decided to take a risk into turn 2 to try and compensate for that horrible getaway by going around the outside. But it backfires completely and we now have to take to the gravel to avoid a pileup at the apex. But believe it or not, we still gained about 3 positions in that chaos. However, it quickly became clear that we were suffering from a mechanical problem. We were just insanely slow out of each and every corner, even struggling to keep up with the back markers. Add to that this nice cloud of rocks we had to drive through, and then this incident which sent us into last place. I decided to save what little remained of our engine and retire the kart. What a fucking terrible weekend. That's racing though, and I will promise you, next race, things will be different. See you next time.